Hi guys and welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I want to talk about the training post and I want to explain why I think there are some major issues with this new feature and why I really hope Blizzard at some point will fix some of them and why I think if some of these issues are not fixed in the long run, it might be really bad for the game. So a quick disclaimer before I start. I am not against the training post. I think this is a great feature. I think there's some great things that came out of this new system. And overall, I'm absolutely not making this video because I want the training post to disappear. That's absolutely not the case. I just think there are some things that should be done better and things that, again, in my opinion, are harming the game that comes directly from the training post. So, first of all, my main issue with the training post is the fact that this is now the main way for Blizzard to add a lot of cool and unique items into the game compared to everything else that we're getting next to that for simply playing the game. Right now, for instance, I think this month is a really good example of that because if you go, you will see that we have all these new cool Dark Moon items. So for instance, you have these really cool mounts, you have all these different transmog items, you even have some new headpieces and transmogs, and as you know, we also in the past got a really cool full ensemble linked to the Darkmoon Fair. But next to that, you are not getting anything from the Darkmoon Fair island. There is no new loot that have been added. Maybe one of the horses will at some point be also available through the Darkmoon Fair island. There are also two other colors that haven't been added to the game yet, and maybe one of them will be available through the Darkwind Fair Island. But overall, I just feel like all these different items should be things you should be able to get by simply doing activities linked to the Darkwind Fair Island, instead of having everything from the training post. Because again, normally the whole point of the game is to play the game and get rewards that are linked to specific parts and activities of the game. And it's something that's been the case for quite some time. For instance, with a lot of the different holiday events, most of the rewards are only available through the training post and not through the actual holiday event. For instance, if you take the Winter Veil event, all of them almost were only training post items. For some other ones, it was a little bit better. For instance, the Love is in the Air event, we also got 1 month from the main event and not only from the training post. Same, we got a few other cosmetics. But in general, most of the new rewards that are added into the game go directly to the training post and are not things you can get for simply playing the game. Another very good example comes directly from patch 11.1.5, which will be released in a month from now. So here, if you have a look at the new mounts, most of the new mounts are only recolored mounts and nothing too exciting, other than a few exceptions. So for instance, you have these new cameras right here, which again are basically recolored or upgraded versions of some of the existing cameras, but still way cooler than the ones we have in game. And then you also have, for instance, the new Hedgehog mounts. And here it won't come as a surprise that all these different cool mounts are either added to the game through the trading post or through different promotions. And so it means that again, for the other activities in the game, we're only getting all these kind of like not so exciting mounts that are literally taking no efforts whatsoever for Blizzard to do. And this is the same also with the different transmogs. So here again, we are getting some pretty cool new transmogs and new cosmetic items, and all of them will be things that you will only be able to get through the training post or also through some bundles on the shop. And then next to that, for playing the game, you are, for instance, rewarded with these different sets that are exactly the same that we already got back in BFA, and there's nothing more to it. So here, I really want to use this example to illustrate again the difference between the effort that is being put into everything that goes into the training post and then what you actually get for simply playing the game and doing some of the new systems and activities that Blizzard introduced with each patch. And again, normally, rewards should be things that should provide some incentives for players to play the game and interact with these new systems and with these new things, but here there's nothing really that players will need over than all the different cool rewards from the training post that doesn't really require you to do anything over than just farming the few activities in order to get all your tenders for the month, and then it's done. So here again, in my opinion, the main way Blizzard can avoid having this issue is by simply making sure that first of all, they are adding a lot of other rewards outside of the training posts that are also really cool and unique, very high res and all of that. And also that some of the different rewards from the training post are things that you can also farm in the game, especially when they are so clearly linked to existing systems and activities in the game. I think it would make a lot more sense, and I think players would be way more happy to do that rather than each time just having to wait for the next training post set of items and then just be able to buy one or two because of the limited amount of tenders that they have. Here again, another big issue that I already mentioned, and that comes directly from the fact that a lot of these really cool rewards are only available through the training post, and there's no other way for you to get them through other activities that are in the game, is the fact that it creates less incentives for players to actually engage with everything that is available in the game, including the new systems, the new activities, because players don't really have anything to, let's say, get excited for. Here again, patch 11.1.5 is a really good example of that because players don't really care about having just a few recolored mounts and things like that. It's cool for your collection, you can add them, but the real things they're going to be very excited about are the new unique things that will only be available through a training post. But so it's not really going to push them to participate in some of these new activities and to try and really engage with the content that is available in the game. Instead, they will just wait for the month again, get their tenders, try to see what they can buy, and that's pretty much it. Here, another big issue that I have with the training post is linked to all the new promotions and all the new shop items that we have. And it's simply the fact that now Blizzard and players who enjoy defending Blizzard for some reasons are using the training post as a scapegoat by simply explaining that each time this is not a problem to have so many new promotions and items on the shop because these will eventually most likely be added to the training post. And so if you don't want to spend real money or your tokens on these different items, you can just wait and eventually you will be able to get them through the training post. So for me, this is a big issue, first of all, because it allows Blizzard to have so many new promotions and new mounts added into the game through the shop and new cosmetic items and everything. And really, this new expansion has been insane for that. We're getting at least one new promotion per week, which is really insane. But again, each time players get mad, there are all the arguments of, yes, but the training post is here, things will eventually be added, so why would you care? Let people do whatever they want. Which, first of all, is not entirely true because it's never guaranteed that these different items will eventually make it to the training post. It's not something that is the case for every promotional items in the game. And also, as we all know, people are pretty limited in terms of the amount of tokens that they can get per month. And so most likely, if you're already struggling, you will prefer to probably buy these different rewards from the shop rather than having to wait and buy them with your tenders through the training post, because next to that, you will need to save your tenders to buy all the other rewards. And here again, I want to insist on the fact that I'm not against promotions and I'm not against Blizzard adding new items to the shop and everything. It's all about the balance with the other items and rewards that we get for actually playing the game and for doing some of the in-game content. Because right now, if you take some of the previous patches and everything, there's just so much more effort and attention that is being put on all the different rewards that make it to the shop compared to everything you can actually get by playing the game. And so again, for me, this is a big issue. And the fact that we have that plus the training post really limits in the end what you can get for simply engaging with some of the different activities in the game. Here, something that, again, I just mentioned and that, in my opinion, is also an issue with the training post is the fact that we are very limited in terms of the amount of tenders we can get per month. And next to that, we are getting a lot of rewards that are only available through the training post. And so it means, again, that players are very limited in terms of what they can actually acquire. And so it means that a lot of these different items are kind of useless or not really used because players can't even try to farm them. So that's why I really think for some of these different items, you should have other sources into the game that would allow you to also get them. Here, for instance, a good example comes from the Trail of Style event. This year, we got a few of these different transmogs available through this over event, and I think this is good because at least like that, if you don't have enough tenders to buy them through the training post, you can actually get them by doing this in-game event and by participating into it. So I think this is good. But again, this is one of the rare examples of some of these different rewards being available, not only at the training post, but also through other means. And that's why, in my opinion, Blizzard really need to either try to increase the amount of tenders you can farm per month. You can easily think of more challenging ways for you to farm more if you really want more of these different tenders. And at least like that, it would force players to engage with more in-game activities and content if they want more of these different tenders, or just have different ways to acquire these different items and not having them only available through the training post. Finally, my last point, and it's not really important, it's just more an observation that I want to share with you as well, because right now I'm talking about the training post. And it's the fact that the monthly rewards are more and more irrelevant or garbage and things that players are not really excited for. So for instance, here this month, we are getting these two new cosmetic ads. And while I do think these are actually pretty cool, I don't think a lot of players care about them or are excited about them or will ever use them. And in comparison, we are getting with your different tenders these really cool mounts, and I think everyone would have preferred to, for instance, have this mount as the monthly reward. It would have made a lot more sense. And when you compare with the first few months of the training post, all the coolest rewards and most unique rewards were actually rewards from completing the monthly traveler's log instead of having them available with the different tenders. So I'm sure the reason why Blizzard is doing that is to force you to use your different tenders and make sure that you don't have too many and that you can't just keep all your different tenders, which I think is again a little bit lame because the main and the coolest reward should come from completing the monthly activities and not from the different tenders. But again, now this is completely different, and sadly, more and more, this is always the case where the best rewards are only available with the tenders and the monthly rewards are things that no one really cares about. So that's pretty much it. Again, I just wanted to make this video because I'm always a little bit annoyed when I see all these new rewards for a new patch and I realize most of the new cool ones come from the training post only or from promotions, and that next to that, all the new systems and activities are only rewarding us with some pretty boring recolors and things that really no one is super excited for. Again, it's not always the case. For instance, if you take the new patch Undermine, it was great. You can get tons of new cool transmogs and things by simply playing the game, which I think is normal. But in many other cases, I think it doesn't make sense to have only rewards adding to the training post and not through all these other things, especially with the different holiday events, with some of these other temporary events, such as, for instance, the Darkmoon Fair and everything. I do think this is how we should get these rewards and not only through the training post, which is something that is very limited, that you cannot engage with for a long time because you can't farm these different tenders again and again. You are very limited. And this is very boring, if I'm being honest. You just go here, buy your little rewards. There is no efforts put it into getting these different rewards. There's no value in these rewards. And overall, I think in the end, some of them are pretty much wasted by being put on the training post instead of being things you can achieve by playing the game. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sure many of you are going to disagree with me. I'm sure also many of you are going to say, what are you talking about? Most of these rewards from the training post are garbage and they're like Pokemon or like Disney things that don't represent Warcraft, which is completely fair. It's your opinion. But please let me know in the comments what you think about the training post, what you think about my arguments, and in general, how you think Blizzard can improve the training post and how we can make it a little bit better. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime, I wish you a great day. Bye!